Welcome to another presentation from the CV Academics Foundation, home of the AMP Honors Program.
Hi, AMP Honors Program. I'm Taylor, and I'm here today with Dr. Harrington. She's an advisory board member. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you do and how you got there?
Sure, Taylor. Thanks for this opportunity, and hello all. I am the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs at the University of Houston, specifically in charge of health and well-being. So I oversee the 6 departments within health and well-being, which is our Student Health Center and Psychiatry, our counseling, disability services, recovery services, wellness services, and then our recreation center. How I got here, started my career a long time ago as an Air Force nurse. Found my passion in health promotion, got my master's in health promotion and community and population health, and then continued got my doctorate in nursing practice, but specifically around the business and leadership of healthcare. So had a couple of really cool jobs working within CQA, which is a hospital-based assessment program, working with the United States Air Force, being their health promotion program manager for internationally for all of their health and wellness centers. Was a school nurse for a bit before all of that, but and then when I was working with the American Nurses Association in charge of health, safety, and wellness, I got recruited to Oklahoma State University as the first dedicated chief wellness officer in the country. So that was a very, very cool position. After that, went to Georgia Tech and was in charge of the health and well-being for students and employees, and then got recruited down here. And one of the biggest draws to come to University of Houston was the fact that we have a brand new medical school. We have a nursing program, public health, dietitian, and all of these services that are not offered at Georgia Tech. But the new medical school is focused on community health as a specialty and really reaching out to the underserved. So it's really focused on caring. So really happy to be here. We do a lot of collaborative work with all of the departments on campus and schools on campus.
That's quite a lot of experiences that you've had. I noticed, and when I was reading your through the answers of your questions, that you like to bike a lot. Is there something that got you into this, or you just have always done it?
You know, I loved to bike as a kid. I was one of those kids that before helmets and would just ride around the neighborhood, and not come back till dinner time. Didn't bike much in my married life, and with kids, was really busy chasing kids and helping them get to soccer practice. When I went to Oklahoma State University, there was a very strong gravel cycling group there, gravel being country dirt roads. Need fatter tires than what you would ride on the road. And the community was so amazing and kind and fun that it was really more about the community than the cycling per se. And then I just took it with me. So when I went to Atlanta, wasn't a lot of gravel out there, so I did a lot of road riding. And then I love it. It frees my soul and gives me exercise. But it's a social thing. And even now we can socially distant and still ride. So it gives me a sense to get out and get some exercise in addition to some socialness and searching.
Yeah, I like that. I used to bike a lot when I was younger, but haven't so much since I've been in college.
It's a little harder.
Yeah. I also saw that you said you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. How was that experience?
That was pretty darn awesome. We actually summited on Christmas Day, which made it really, really cool. When you summit in the morning, when the sun's coming up, you have to leave the night before at 10 o'clock to do so you're hiking all night in the dark. And what was really cool about that was that we all wear headlights. And so as you saw, we met up with a bunch of other folks. There was this serpentine trail going up the mountain to get to the start, and it looked like a candlelight procession. It was just awesome. And then to go above the clouds as the sun's coming up to be up on Kilimanjaro was pretty darn cool. When we set that with a safari, so we spent a week on safari as well and saw baby lions with families, and it was just really fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of those things that I thought, that other people did, and a friend of mine had done it and says, you can do it too. I'm like, yeah, I can. So we did, and it was fun. Did it with friends and family.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome attitude to have. Just
you can
do it.
Whatever. Just do it. If it's something that looks like fun, go do it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've traveled a lot, and I saw you said you've lived in more than 20 places. Um, what were some of like your favorite places that you've lived in?
That's a good question that I get frequently, and I
Yeah.
honestly don't have a favorite place. I think with each place, I jump in and just enjoy and embrace everything, and knowing that I'll live there probably a couple, like, or two. I have to say why. I was military. My dad was military. I was military. I was a military wife for a bit, and so that just caused a lot of relocations, especially with the kids. But I really enjoyed Europe, got to travel. We went every weekend somewhere different. You can drive almost anywhere in Europe, which was pretty amazing, or take cruise ships, which was cool too. I loved living in DC and being exposed to all the politics that was going on, and that was right when Affordable Care Act came out, and so I was involved with the NCQA then and got to really be in the heart of that, in addition to the Free Smithsonian and all the great things that are going on there. Love living in Denver just because it's Colorado. Each place that I've lived has been very unique and different for each of its reasons.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to travel to Europe. Have you been to Prague then?
I have, yes. Is that one of your favorite places?
That was probably my favorite place because you can just walk everywhere. That sounds like a very exciting life to have.
It's really what you make out of it. You have opportunities, and I also had friends that were in Europe when we were, and they hated it. They didn't want to go anywhere. So they didn't know the language. I'm like, I learned enough German just to get by, but honestly, if you tried to speak German, they'd speak back to you in English. And I'd say, is my German that bad? And Germans are so polite, and they're like, they didn't answer.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
How do you relax during your time off? I was interested as to what you would do like before COVID, if it's any different, or you just kind of your routine kind of stay the same.
It was the same. That's a great question. It was a transition, but the same. And some things I could do more of, and some things to do less of. So COVID hit right after I had moved here. I mean, I'd been here a few months and was so invested in the job. And I was supposed to go to rodeo that weekend when they shut down the rodeo. And so before COVID, I would get out with friends more, where now, I go ride or walk with a friend in the neighborhood. So it's different. It's not going to the restaurants or to the events or going on the conferences the professional conferences that we would go to and connect nationally. Now we connect via Zoom.
Right.
But one of the good things that came out about it is that I was involved with a particular group. It's a centering prayer group. It's a meditation group, essentially, that met Wednesday nights, and then we would go out afterwards for our other types of spirits, and connect. We called it the Old Blind Dog, which was the tavern. And but it was a good social group. And when I moved here, I lost connection with them, obviously, but they went to Zoom. And so now every Wednesday night, I can still connect with them, and then we do our meditation, and then we stay on and, pour ourselves a beverage and then just visit. So there's, it's been a shift. It's just different. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just different. And so it's, again, doing what you can to make the best out of wherever you are, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds like a nice bonus that came out of it.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear, you talked a lot about like you like to watch your favorite television shows or read, you like to read books. I'm interested, what are a few of your favorites?
Oh, I never can remember the titles. I shift between things that are happening for work versus pure fiction. I'm in a couple of book clubs so I've been doing some of those. One was Michael Eisner's book, a Disney book. That was an interesting book about his leadership style. Oh my gosh, there was one I just read. I just gave it to my daughter. The Streets of Frankie somebody. It was written by the same author as Tuesdays with Morrie, and told in this, the narrator was music, and it was talking about how this individual's magic violin was what helped better lives of people. Been doing Upstream was one I just recently read about how to approach everything from an upstream, which is really important to me.
Yeah.
In health is how to do more prevention, health promotion versus the more reactive service oriented. We got to have both, but how do we shift so we do more of that? So the Upstream was fascinating to read from a perspective of not healthcare specifically, but just as we were looking at what's the root cause of different issues and how are they resolved. So that was one of my more recent nonfiction. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think a few weeks ago, I had watched like a lecture of a preventive medicine physician talking about his career, and that's like a lot of upstream care, and it really interested me. So that's cool.
It's far less expensive.
Yeah.
It's harder to measure, but that's the big ticket. It's harder to measure what you prevent, and so it's harder to get somebody to invest into something like that when you can't show a traditional ROI. So you have to get creative.
Right. Yeah. So what like television shows are your favorite? Do you prefer like comedy or anything specific?
I really like the stories about people. So Grey's Anatomy has been one of my favorites for a long time, and then the Station 19. But I also like the This Is Us and A Million Little Things. And then, yeah, I guess the whole Chicago series on Wednesday nights, I like that too. So Blue Bloods is another one I like. But then I also like The Big Bang Theory. Although as I'm looking at some of the humor now, it's a little out of touch with where we are in our society today. And I'm looking at some of it and I'm kind of cringing like, oh, yeah, it's not the same as it was when, a couple of years ago. So I'm a little embarrassed to even say that one, but
that's funny. So I have to ask just because I love animals. So you said you have a pet. What kind of pet do you have?
I have a little cat. I am not a cat person, or I wasn't, so I should say I wasn't, but I am now. I've always thought I wanted another dog, and not a cat because I want the happy thing, but she is part dog, I swear. She came right before COVID. She was underneath my house, and I had just had my house screens to keep rodents out from under my house, and yet there was this little kitty under my house. So I called the bug people back and they fixed it. But anyway, she found me. So her name is Cinderella because she's black and white under the house. So Cinder, but she's a little princess. So she chases her tail like a dog. She's lately been getting up on the toilet seat and trying to drink the water from the toilet like a dog. And I'm like, wait, that's not a good thing. So but you talk about pre-COVID, post-COVID, she has kept me sane. When you can't touch people, I can hold her, right? And cats don't necessarily give love. She gives a little bit of love, and so I get a little bit of love back, so there's just something about an animal that just, gives you attention.
Well, thank you for your time. That was, I really enjoyed talking with you.
I enjoyed talking with you as well. I'm happy to, keep in touch. So thank you for your time.
This has been a presentation of the CV Academics Foundation, home of the AMP Honors Program.